Hey there, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a truly chilling and infamous story that shook America to its core back in the late 1960s. We're talking about Charles Manson, the cult leader whose followers, known as the Manson family, committed the brutal Tate-LaBianca murders in 1969. This story is as fascinating as it is horrifying, so let's get into it. Who was Charles Manson? Charles Manson was born on November 12, 1934 in Cincinnati, Ohio. His early life was tough. His mother was a 16-year-old who struggled with alcoholism and crime, and his father wasn't around. Manson spent a lot of his youth in and out of reform schools and juvenile detention centers. By the time he was an adult, he had already spent more than half his life behind bars for various crimes like theft and fraud. But Manson wasn't just any criminal. He had a strange charisma that drew people to him. In the mid-1960s, he moved to San Francisco, which was a hotspot for the hippie counterculture. There, he started gathering a group of followers, mostly young women, who were looking for something or someone to believe in. And boy, did they believe in Manson.
A powerful person. When he said jump, they jumped.
Charlie would talk about how he was Jesus and the devil all in one.
The Manson family. Manson and his followers eventually moved to an old movie ranch on the outskirts of Los Angeles called Spahn Ranch. The group became known as the Manson family. Life on the ranch was unconventional, to say the least. They lived communally, sharing everything from food to clothes, and Manson controlled them with a mix of drugs, manipulation, and his bizarre teachings. Manson preached a twisted philosophy that was a mix of ideas from the Bible, Scientology, and his own delusions. He believed in an upcoming apocalyptic race war, which he called Helter Skelter, a term he borrowed from a Beatles song. Manson told his followers that this race war would be the end of the world as they knew it, and that they were destined to survive and rule the new world.
Can't. They even teach you the word. They give you the words. Take all the words away. And don't think in right and wrong, just think in truth.
The murders. So, how did this bizarre cult end up committing one of the most infamous crimes in American history? It all started with Manson's obsession with becoming a famous musician. He had been trying to break into the music scene in Los Angeles, even befriending people like Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. But when his music career didn't take off, Manson became increasingly bitter and vengeful. On August 8, 1969, Manson ordered some of his followers to go to a house at 10050 Cielo Drive in Los Angeles and totally destroy everyone in it. This house was the home of Roman Polanski, a famous film director, and his wife Sharon Tate, a rising actress who was 8 months pregnant at the time. Polanski was out of town, but Tate and 4 other people were there that night. Led by Tex Watson, Manson's followers, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, broke into the house and brutally murdered everyone inside. Sharon Tate was stabbed 16 times. The word pig was written in blood on the front door. The very next night, Manson sent another group of his followers to the home of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. This time, Manson himself went along to show them how it should be done. After tying up the couple, Manson left, and his followers murdered the LaBiancas in a similarly gruesome fashion.
Simply because they're 60 years old.
I believe an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's the way I believe.
You don't believe that after 50 years there's hope for rehabilitation? Or room for forgiveness?
I don't believe in parole for murderers. No. I don't believe in that.
Do you look back on that very fateful day and wish you'd never taken the call?
For Bob Burbridge, one of the first cops on the scene, the memory of those killings on the 9th of August 1969 will never be erased.
The aftermath. The murders shocked the nation. It wasn't just the brutality of the crimes that terrified people. It was the randomness. These were wealthy, well-known people, and it made everyone feel like no one was safe. The police eventually caught up with the Manson family, and the trials began. Manson, along with several of his followers, was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They were all sentenced to death, but their sentences were later commuted to life in prison after California abolished the death penalty in 1972.
After killing Sharon Tate and her friends, Manson had called on Tex Watson and Patricia Krenwinkel to murder again. But this time, completing the terror triumvirate was Leslie Van Houten. How Manson could get these women to so savagely kill for him remains one of the great fascinations of this tragedy.
Why did they do it? So, what drove these people to commit such horrific acts? For the most part, it was Manson's manipulation. He used drugs, isolation, and psychological control to make his followers believe that he was some sort of messiah. Many of the Manson family members were young, impressionable, and looking for a sense of belonging. Manson provided that, even though it came at a terrible cost.
You stand still a second right there while you're with the eye. Yeah, that's very beautiful.
Beautiful, Charlie.
When he came out of the holding cell into the hallway, he looked like a scared animal. And he was not looking very threatening. He just looked like a little guy in a buckskin outfit.
Not the Messiah.
No.
Legacy. Charles Manson became one of the most infamous criminals in American history. He spent the rest of his life in prison and died in 2017. His story has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and movies.
I'm an outlaw, and I go so far, and then that's all you know.
People look at you today, 20 years later, and they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
Nobody. I'm nobody.
The Tate-LaBianca murders are often seen as the end of the 1960s, marking a shift from the peace and love of the hippie movement to something much darker. The Manson family story is a haunting reminder of how one person can manipulate others to commit unspeakable acts. It's also a testament to the dangers of blind faith and the need for critical thinking. So, that's the story of Charles Manson and the Manson family. It's a dark chapter in American history, but it's important to remember and learn from it. If you found this video interesting, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.